How does one come face to face with pure, uninvited evil? The question haunted me as I stared at the old photograph I had found in the attic. The image was grainy and dark, depicting a skeletal figure clutching a terrified child, the crone. My grandmother Martha had always warned me about the creature that lurked in the shadows, a demon that fed on the essence of children. But I had never believed her, until now. My parents vanished when I was just a baby. Martha raised me with a mix of stern love and fearful caution, always reminding me to stay away from the woods at night. As a child, I thought her warnings were mere superstitions, stories to keep me from wandering too far. But the photograph told a different story, one that seemed to bridge the gap between myth and reality. One dreary evening, curiosity got the better of me, despite Martha's warnings. I ventured too far into the forest, chasing elusive fireflies that seemed to dance just beyond my reach. The forest, ancient and foreboding, seemed to whisper my name, pulling me deeper into its embrace. As the shadows lengthened and night fell, I realized I was lost. Fear gnawed at my heart as I stumbled through the underbrush, the trees closing in around me. Suddenly I saw her, a figure cloaked in tattered robes, her eyes white and unseeing, her skin stretched taut over sharp bones. She moved with a slow, deliberate grace, her presence exuding an eerie calm. The crone, the demon. "Why have you come here?" her voice rasped, a dry whisper that seemed to echo in my mind. I didn't mean to," I stammered, my voice trembling. She beckoned me with a bony finger, and despite my fear, I stepped forward, compelled by a force I couldn't resist. Her touch was surprisingly gentle as she cupped my face, her hollow eyes searching my soul. "You have his eyes," she said, her voice filled with a strange mix of sadness and hunger. "Your father's eyes." The photograph flashed in my mind. "You knew my father?" The crone nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on her cracked lips. "He was brave like you, but bravery is no shield against the darkness." "What are you?" I asked, my fear mingling with curiosity. Her grip tightened, her face inches from mine. "I am hunger. I am the void that consumes the light. I am the demon that your village feared, banished to the shadows but never truly gone." I shivered, the air around me growing colder. "Did you take my parents?" She released me, her gaze distant. "The forest took them as it takes all who wander too far. But I feed on their fear, their despair. And now, I will feed on yours." Panic surged through me. "No, please." Her smile widened, revealing sharp, rotting teeth. "Fear not, child. Your essence will keep me alive just as your parents did." Desperation gave me strength. "There must be a way to stop you." The crone laughed, a hollow, chilling sound. "Stop me? You cannot stop what is eternal. But you can delay the inevitable." "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Return to your grandmother," she said. "She holds the key. The truth is buried deep within her." With that, she faded into the mist, leaving me to find my way home. The journey back was a blur, the forest seeming to part for me, guiding me safely to the village. When I burst through the door of my cottage, Martha was waiting, her face pale and drawn. "Where have you been?" she cried, pulling me into a tight embrace. "I met her," I said, breathless. "The crone, the demon. She told me you have the key to stopping her." Martha's eyes widened in shock. "You saw her?" I nodded. "She said you hold the truth. What did she mean?" For a long moment Martha was silent, her gaze distant. Then, with a heavy sigh, she led me to a small chest hidden beneath her bed. Inside was a worn, leather-bound book and a locket. "This was your mother's," she said, opening the locket to reveal a tiny portrait. "And this is the truth." She handed me the book, its pages filled with ancient runes and spells. Our family has guarded this knowledge for generations. The villagers cursed the crone out of fear, but they were right to fear her. She is a demon, uninvited, feeding on the essence of children. Martha nodded, her expression resolute. Together we can. That night, under the light of a full moon, Elias and Martha ventured into the forest. Guided by the book's instructions, they performed the ritual to bind the demon. As the final words were spoken, a blinding light enveloped the forest and the crone appeared, her form writhing and twisting. Elias's eyes filled with tears as he read the words. Can we stop her? You think you can banish me? She screeched, her voice filled with fury. Elias and Martha stood firm, chanting the final incantation. The crone's form shattered, her screams echoing through the night as she was pulled into the void, banished to the darkness from whence she came. From that day forward, the village was free from her terror. But Elias knew that the battle was never truly over. The shadows still whispered, and the legend of the demon lived on, waiting for the night when she might break free and feed once more. And so Elias became the guardian of the village's dark secret, ensuring that the demon's story would never be forgotten. For he knew that in the eternal struggle between light and darkness, vigilance was their only shield against the uninvited evil that lurked just beyond the veil of night. Years passed since the night Martha and I banished the crone, but the forest whispers never truly ceased. I grew older, taking on the mantle of guardian, always watching, always waiting. The villagers, though relieved, seemed to sense, the lingering presence. Children still went missing, though less frequently, and shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. One bitterly cold night, as a heavy fog rolled in, obscuring the moon, I heard a familiar, eerie whisper through my open window. My heart pounded as I recognized the voice. It was her, the crone, calling me back to the forest. The air turned frigid and the shadows in my room seemed to stretch and twist, reaching for me. Determined, I grabbed the ancient book and ventured out into the night. The fog enveloped me, and the forest, once my home, now felt like a maze of terror. My breath hung in the air like ghostly tendrils, and every step echoed ominously. Why have you come back? I whispered into the darkness, my voice trembling. A cold laugh answered me. Did you think it would be that easy, boy? Did you think you could banish what is eternal? Her form materialized before me, more grotesque than ever, her white eyes gleaming with malice. The forest seemed to close in, the trees warping and bending toward me. Panic clawed at my chest, but I forced myself to stand my ground. We bound you once, we can do it again, I said, though my voice wavered with doubt. She stepped closer, her skeletal hand reaching out, and I felt a cold grip around my heart. You can try, but every spell has its price, every binding its sacrifice. Her smile widened, revealing teeth sharper and more numerous than I remembered. The essence of the guardian who dares to defy me. Your soul, boy. Give yourself willingly, and I might spare the village. A chill ran through me. I knew the villagers relied on me, but could I really make such a sacrifice? The book felt heavy in my hands, its runes pulsating with a sinister energy. You'll never have me, I said, my voice gaining strength. We'll find another way. The crone laughed, a sound that echoed through the trees like the wails of the damned. There is no other way. The forest hungers, and it will be fed, one way or another. Suddenly the ground beneath me shifted, roots wrapping around my ankles, pulling me down. I struggled, but the more I fought, the tighter their grip became. The book fell from my hands, landing open on a page I had never seen before, filled with dark, cryptic symbols. Desperation surged through me. I began to chant the words, not fully understanding their meaning, but hoping against hope they would save me. The forest shuddered, and a blinding light erupted from the book, illuminating the crone's twisted form. She screamed, a sound of pure agony, as the light consumed her. But just as I thought we had won, the light flickered, and dimmed, leaving me in darkness. The crone's voice, now a whisper, lingered in the air. This is not the end, boy. The forest's hunger can never be sated. It will come for you and those you love. Remember that. The roots released me, and I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The book lay closed beside me, its pages once again unreadable. As I stumbled back to the village, the fog began to lift, but the weight of her words pressed heavily on my mind. I returned home to find Martha waiting, her eyes filled with fear and understanding. She knew what I'd faced and what it meant for us all. We spent the night in silence, the only sound the distant whisper of the wind through the trees. Days turned into weeks, and the village seemed to settle into an uneasy peace. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the crone's words were a prophecy, a dark promise that would one day come true. The forest's hunger remained a shadow over our lives. I continued my duties as guardian, ever vigilant, but questions haunted me. How long could we hold the darkness at bay? What price would we ultimately have to pay to keep the demon from returning? And most chilling of all, was there ever truly a way to banish her, or was our struggle against the eternal hunger merely delaying the inevitable? The whispers in the forest grew louder each night, and as I lay awake, staring into the darkness, I wondered when the forest would come for me, and who would be the next to hear its call. The story of the demon was far from over, and deep down I knew that one day I would face her again. And on that day, the questions that haunted me would demand answers. Answers that might cost me everything.